Toronto loves to argue about housing. Detached homes, condos, bidding wars, crashes. Every headline swings between boom and doom. It's like the whole city's built on a seesaw. But tucked right between those extremes is a housing type almost nobody talks about. A type that's been quietly serving families for decades without ever becoming part of the conversation. Townhouses. Homes with real front doors, multiple levels, space to, actually live without leaving the city behind. Now, they're not flashy, they're not loud, and maybe that's exactly why people overlook them. But what if this middle option is one of Toronto's most underrated paths for families who want to stay rooted, walkable, connected, and a part of a real neighborhood? So let's pull on that thread because the story behind townhouses in Toronto is way bigger than people think. Now, townhouses have always fascinated me because they sit in this strange middle lane that Toronto barely recognizes. Now, they're not condos and they're not detached homes that get all the shine, but they borrow the best pieces from both worlds: space, privacy, community, neighborhood life. And here's the part I keep coming back to. In a city fighting to keep families, townhouses might quietly be one of the smartest housing options we have. So, in this video, I want to slow things down a little bit. I want to break apart what townhouses actually are. I mean, the different types that you'll encounter, the pitfalls, the price trends, and the neighborhoods where they truly shine. And later on, I'll show you some of my favorite townhouse communities here in the city, both new construction and resale, and why they hit that sweet spot so many families are searching for. But before we get there, we need to understand the bigger picture because once you see where townhouses sit in Toronto's housing landscape, everything else starts to make a lot more sense. So when you look at Toronto real estate long enough, you start to see patterns. The big spikes, the dramatic dips, the moments where everyone panics, and the moments where nobody pays attention. And in all of that noise, townhouses move differently. So let's look at the numbers. While detached homes shot up past $1.8 million and then tumbled, while semis did their own roller coaster routine, townhouses held a steadier line. Now, not completely flat, not stagnant, just kind of steady. So it's predictable in a city that rarely is. I mean, back in October of this year, 2025, the benchmark price for a Toronto townhouse was sitting around $755,000, and the average sale price lands just under $860,000. And both numbers matter. The benchmark tells you how the market as a whole is behaving. The average tells you what families are actually paying right now to get in. So now let's talk about why I think townhouses deserve way more credit than they get. So first up, they actually feel like homes and not compromises. So more living space than most condos and multiple levels of privacy. Bedrooms that don't share a wall with the dishwasher, for example, and a real sense of separation and calm. Number two, they sit in Toronto's most desirable neighborhoods for the most part. So think Davenport, High Park, Riverdale, Queen West, Leslieville, Danforth Village. Neighborhoods where detached homes often start at $1.5 million and often shoot well beyond $2 million. And we also see excellent options in some under the radar pockets here in Eglinton West, for example. Fairbank, Oakwood Village, St. Clair West, Keelsdale. I mean, overall, townhouses let families stay rooted in the places they love. The number three on my list is they keep maintenance predictable. So people hear townhouse and immediately think maintenance fees. But the truth is a lot more layered. Some townhouses, yes, they do have monthly fees. So stacked towns, condos, POTL towns with shared elements. Now, we'll explain the difference between all those different townhouse types in a minute, but before we freak out about fees, those fees can actually be a blessing in some cases. So things like a roof, the exterior, snow removal, landscaping, all of that is handled. So think of it as predictability instead of a surprise bill. And then number 4, outdoor space that's quirky but underrated. So think rooftop terraces. I mean, some have compact backyards or shared courtyards where kids make friends. So you're not mowing lawns, you're just living. Now, here's where townhouses really get fascinating. Most people think a townhouse is a single uniform housing type, but in Toronto, I mean, townhouses are almost like jazz, different structures, different rhythms, and each one comes with wildly different ownership implications. So let's break them all down. So the first type is what we'd like to call a stacked condo townhouse. So think of it as a small building, 3 to 6 stories, exterior entrances, feels like urban row housing, but it's really a small condo building. You own the interior just like a condo, and the condo corp owns the exterior. So the second type is a traditional condo townhouse. So looks like a normal townhouse, lives like a normal townhouse, but technically you don't own the brick, the roof, or the land outside. So your maintenance fees cover all of the exterior elements. And then the third type is the POTL, so parcel of titled land. So it's essentially freehold ownership plus a tiny monthly maintenance fee for shared spaces like driveway or private laneway. So you own the structure. I mean, you might own a tiny piece of the land, but you have predictable upkeep and usually fairly low fees. And then type 4 is the true freehold townhouse. So in this scenario, you own everything: the structure, the land, the interior, the exterior. It's a house, you're just attached on one or both sides. But here's the fun part: there's a fifth type, which is the gray zone hybrids. I mean, Toronto's older townhouse communities quite often have these quirks. So mixed legal structures, odd distinctions between what's your responsibility and what isn't, unexpected rules, and weirdly structured reserves. This is where having a realtor who understands townhouses matters, because not all towns are built equal. So now let's keep it real. There are downsides. So, I mean, there are stairs. I mean, lots of stairs. So if you hate stairs, don't force it. I mean, some floor plans are narrow. I mean, consider that the Toronto tax. Designs can also be funky, not quirky, funky, especially if we look at those late 90s, 2000s builds. And then also fees can vary wildly. A $150 POTL fee, great. A $900 condo town fee, I mean, it depends on what it covers. And then when we think of the outdoor space, it's usually minimal, but you're often near parks, trails, courts, and community space. So think of it as access over acreage. They're not perfect, but perfection was never the assignment. And just to ground all of this in what's happening right now, let's look at the latest Market Watch numbers for the 416. In October of 2025, townhouse sales actually saw one of the strongest year-over-year jumps, up 12.6%. So that's not a correction, that's not a cliff. That's buyers quietly voting with their wallets, because families are recognizing the same thing that I'm seeing. This is one of the few housing types where price, space, location, and long-term stability all line up. It won't be under the radar forever, but right now, for families trying to stay in Toronto without taking on a detached size mortgage, townhouses are one of the cleanest paths forward in the entire market. So let's take a look at what's available on the market right now. I've picked a few townhouses that kind of piqued my interest. Let's take a look. So the first one, it's up near my neck of the woods, 400 Avenue, right across from the new LRT station at Dufferin and Eglinton. Great layout, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms for just under $1.2 million. So some good value for a fairly large townhouse, between 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, right in the city of Toronto near a brand new transit station. And now let's go over to the Junction. There's a great, and this is a freehold townhouse, so no maintenance fees, no POTL. This is just a straight up freehold townhouse in a excellent location in the heart of the Junction. Now, I toured this house a couple months back, and I'm surprised it's still on the market at just under 1.5 million. But this one here actually has a accessory house out in the back, so you can see it right here in this photo. So back there's actually an accessory dwelling that's currently set up with as a little studio, but you probably could set that up as a lane house if you wanted to. So some pretty good value here with some potential rental income that you could get from a lane house in the backyard. So yeah, so like here it is right here. Here's the lane house in the backyard. At 1.5 million, you can get some extra income from that lane house. That's very, very interesting. Now, let's look at something else. Let's look at something at the lower end of the price spectrum. So let's zoom in here. Let's go over to Brandon. That's a nice one right here, Caledonia Park. So this one's sitting right across from Earls Court Park for under $700,000. This is a 2-bed, 2-bath, just under 1,000 square feet. Again, location here stellar. You're right on the streetcar line, so you can streetcar over to Yonge Street or the Yonge University Spadina line and get downtown if you wanted to. But you're right across from one of the largest parks in the city. So if you have some little ones out there who are athletes, this is a great location. You get across the street, run to the park, tire them out, and get home. So some really interesting options on the market right now in some of the under the radar neighborhoods that I target. But next I want to talk about Lambton Mills. So this is a brand new townhouse project right near Dundas and Scarlett. So right now, I mean, they actually have an event on where you can get homes for under $1 million. A brand new 1,800 square foot townhouse for just under $1 million if you're a first-time buyer. If you're not a first-time buyer, the prices start just under 1.2 million. But again, excellent value. Getting a house with a carry-on warranty, which is nice. So over the first 7 years, you do have that carry-on warranty. But you can see here the side profile for the house. You have 2 bedrooms on. You have your main floor with the kitchen on the main floor. Second floor, you have 2 bedrooms with a bathroom, and then you have on the 3rd floor the primary suite with an ensuite, and then you have a rooftop terrace up top. So you can see here the floor plans. And these ones, I've actually had clients buy in here. I have some other clients contemplating it. There's not a lot of inventory left of the first phase, but they have launched a second phase as well. Excellent value. Again, excellent location, close to transit. There's a lot of new transit. I mean, just recently, the Mount Dennis Transit Hub just opened. So there's a lot of transit coming to the whole West End pocket. And this is near some of that transit. So yeah, some options out there currently on the market for townhouses, family-sized townhouses in the city. Okay, so when we put it all together, the stability, the price point, the space, the neighborhood feel, you start to see why townhouses have always occupied this strange lane in Toronto. They're not loud, they don't go viral, and they don't dominate headlines. But maybe that's exactly their superpower. Because while the rest of the market swings from fear to frenzy, townhouses just hold steady. They give families room to grow, room to breathe, room to build a life in the city without sacrificing the entire dream. And in a city where everything feels like it's getting pushed out, families, culture, community, townhouses might just be one of the last great middle paths we still have. They're not perfect, yes. There are stairs. Yes, layouts can get quirky. Yes, ownership types can get confusing. But if you're someone who wants to stay in Toronto close to parks, shops, schools, corner stores, and you need more than what a condo can give you, townhouses deserve a second look. And if you're curious about what's out there right now, here's where I can help. So whether you're searching for townhouses under $1 million or larger family-size options under 1.5 million, I can send you a list tailored to your budget and the neighborhoods you want to be in. Just reach out, comment below, DM me, email me, call me, and I'll send you the best options available today, including new builds like Lambton Mills and some of my favorite resale pockets across the city. So Toronto is changing, and families deserve options that make sense. Townhouses might not be the loudest answer, but they might just be the right one. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share this with anyone you know looking for a townhouse, and peace out.